Hello, my beautiful internet friends. Happy almost Thanksgiving, kind of. We will talk about that in a second. But first things first, it wouldn't be my YouTube channel if I didn't introduce our new member of our family. This is Cosmos. She's very hyper. She just wants to play, so I'm gonna go let her do that now. But she is not the main focus of this video. What I really wanted to talk to you guys about today is Thanksgiving and why maybe we should stop celebrating it. Now, of course, it's always good to be thankful. That's something that we should incorporate into every single day, not just one day a year. My issues with Thanksgiving have nothing to do with the family aspect, nothing to do with the Thanksgiving aspect, and everything to do with the fact that this holiday was founded on genocide, as was our country. And that seems to be overlooked all the time, including in our very school systems. And how else are we supposed to learn about the truth of our history if we're being taught in schools a complete fabrication? Not even just an exaggeration, but a complete lie. So there's a couple things that I want to discuss today. The first being, how can we give thanks to the indigenous people who non-consensually gave up their land so that we can live in the homes that we live in and drive on the roads that we drive on and go to our jobs and our schools, all of which is on stolen land, stolen from the indigenous people. So I found a website, and I will link that in the description below. And it is a website where you can type in your zip code in your city, and you can find out what indigenous land you are currently living on. So the two Native American tribes that I found that existed on the land that I now live are the Erie tribe and the Hopewell tribe. And again, I will link all of this below. So what I was thinking is maybe I could find an organization or a charity that I could donate to specifically for the Erie and the Hopewell people. I'm recording this on Monday, the Monday before Thanksgiving. So I'm thinking on Thanksgiving Day, I'm going to find a way to donate to these two groups of people. So that was the first thing I wanted to discuss, is that website and how I'm using it. The next thing I wanted to discuss is how to talk to your family about this type of thing. An activist named Rachel Cargle actually wrote a really enlightening article titled something along the lines of how to talk to your family about race on Thanksgiving. So I'm going to link that down below. That particular article was more about racism against Black people because, you know, on holidays, political conversations get brought up and we don't always know how to properly debate, I guess, or combat that. So that article is really good for that. And I think you can use it to apply to Indigenous people as well, even though that's not exactly what the article is centered around. So number 3 is how to not celebrate Thanksgiving, because I feel like this is just outrageous that some people still actually believe that the Pilgrims and the quote Indians came together and had a nice supper at a fucking picnic table, and everybody shared their food and everybody shared their wealth and they shared their land and everything was all hunky fucking dory. And that never happened. That just never happened. So the fact that we all sit together and eat turkey and mashed potatoes and sit around a table as if we're imitating this story that never happened, it's just kind of ridiculous, right? So personally, I still think it's okay to see your family. I still think it's okay to celebrate what you are thankful for and what you are grateful for. And I think it's okay to celebrate your family and your friends. And I think it's okay to eat food, obviously, but maybe also consider doing something like volunteering or donating somewhere. And if your family will even allow for it, maybe just don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Don't have any events, just treat it like a normal day. Unfortunately, I can't do that because I have 3 families that I have to go and visit. And of course, yes, it will be nice to see them and nice to spend time with them. But again, it's kind of just inappropriate that we're celebrating genocide. It's beyond inappropriate. It's only something a place like America would do. So again, through this website that is linked, I am going to find a way to donate on Thanksgiving to a Native American tribe. Another thing I'm going to be doing on Thanksgiving is I'm going to be volunteering from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'm going to be delivering food to people that need it. And then later after that, I'm going to be seeing my families, my mother and my father's house, and then Miles's mother we are going to see. So I guess the only thing that you can do when you have to see your family on Thanksgiving is try your best to educate them. Which brings me to my final point. There is a video from Beau of the Fifth Column, who I absolutely adore. In this video, he reads a passage from an Indigenous person, and I'm going to link that video below. It's only 5 minutes, and it honestly brought me to tears. It was amazing. And I'm thinking maybe I'll find a way to play that at Thanksgiving at each household. That's the loose plan for right now. I'm gonna try. And if I can't get to playing the video, I will do my best to verbally acknowledge these things. Okay, so I mean, that was pretty much it. I really just wanted to make this video to acknowledge how fucked up Thanksgiving is, how fucked up Christopher Columbus is, how fucked up it is that we celebrate these holidays that were founded on literal genocide and slaughter of human beings. I just wanted to remind everybody that Thanksgiving isn't what we've been taught that it is, and this isn't some social justice warrior liberal ideology. These are the facts of history. This is what happened. It is not true that the Pilgrims and the Indians sat down and had a supper together. That's not true. So that never happened. They never had a supper. It was literally only genocide on the Native people, and we literally stole their land and we murdered them and slaughtered them. So I think the very first bare minimum step that needs to occur before anything else, when we sit down to Thanksgiving dinner, if we must sit down to Thanksgiving dinner, the very first number one top priority thing that we need to do is thank the Indigenous people. Send our energy to the ancestors in the spirit of the Indigenous people that literally non-consensually gave up their land so that we can actually eat this dinner on this night. Without the sacrifice of these Indigenous people, none of us would be celebrating Thanksgiving. We should not be thankful for Christopher Columbus. We should be thankful for the Indigenous people. Don't forget where this all stems from. I know that things have a way of getting disconnected and far off from reality when they are told via textbooks and history professors through the generations and generations. And I understand that there is always an urge to favor your own side of things. So for instance, if you're not an Indigenous person, and even more for instance, if you happen to be a white person, it's very easy to brush all of the facts under the rug because they do not favor your side. And I think it's very important to remember that the Indigenous people also have a side, and it sounds nothing like the side that we hear in our history classes and our textbooks. The Indigenous people still suffer greatly from it today. We have no idea how many different cultures were wiped out completely, never to be seen or heard from again, because everything they ever owned was also destroyed. So there is no denying that. There will never be any denying that. So in closing, I would just like to say, celebrating Thanksgiving on its own does not make you a bad person. It doesn't make any of us a bad person. In my opinion, you only become a bad person when you are celebrating Thanksgiving as if it doesn't stem from a very evil thing. You only become a bad person once you are confronted with the facts and you ignore them because they do not fit your narrative. So now that everybody watching this video knows the facts, choose not to be a bad person. Choose to acknowledge the truth. Choose to bring this truth to your family. Choose to thank the Indigenous people who gave up their land and their lives and their families and everything they ever knew so that we could be doing this right now. America is divided. America has always been divided. To think that we are any more divided now than we were in the past is not true. We've always been divided. And it started with the moment Christopher Columbus and his gang came to this land thinking it was India, and called the indigenous people Indians, which totally erases so much of their culture, even on his own. And then he slaughtered them. That was the first imprint we had on this land, and it was divisive from day one. So the only way forward is not to ignore that division, it's to acknowledge that it exists, and it exists because our history has been divisive. And if we don't want to be divisive anymore, the first step is acknowledgement, and the first step is apologizing and donating to organizations that deserve your money and volunteering at places that deserve your time. As a final closing note, I would just like to say, please, I'm praying to the non-existent Lord, please stop calling indigenous people Indian. Stop that. I mean, you do realize the only reason Native Americans and indigenous people are called Indians is because when Christopher Columbus came to America, he thought it was India because he saw brown people with long black hair and thought they were Indians. So he named them Indians. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous that we are still calling indigenous people Indians. They're not American Indians. India is on another continent. India is another country. The only way that you could be an American Indian is if you come from India and now you are an American, or if you come from America and now you are an Indian. There is no such thing as an American Indian other than that. If you are an indigenous person, if you are a Native American, you are not an Indian. That's been my biggest pet peeve since I was in grade school learning about this, and I was wondering why the fuck my teacher kept calling the indigenous people Indians. I was like, don't they live in India? Hello? And then like a decade later, I learned that everything that I was taught about Thanksgiving in American history was a lie. So then it all made sense to me. But yeah, so we have to do better. We have to do better with everything, including the words we use, including the things we celebrate, including where we put our money and where we spend our time and how we use our energy and what we say to our families and friends at these holidays. So, okay. All right, I'm done now. I'm getting off my high horse now. I'm done with my spiel. Say goodbye to the kitten. Say goodbye to Cosmos. Subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos as often as I can. I do makeup, I do hair, I talk about politics. I have really cute pets that are almost always in my videos. I make vlogs. Anything I think of in the moment, I do. So if you like me and you think I'm cool, you know what to do. Subscribe!